Hi there, I'm Claire Snowden. I wanted to talk to you about the ebbs, flows and rest model that I was given around nature connection. So this is something I spend lots of time outdoors connecting with nature, and this is something that was offered to me as a sort of inspiration is the way it came. And it's an acronym. So EBBS stands for Earth, Breath, Body and Stillness. So the earth part of that is our connection with the earth. The breath part is connection with the breath. Body is our bodies, and stillness is kind of coming to that inner stillness. So we're just noticing what I refer to as the observer self. So we're starting to move out of this kind of headspace that we're very often operating in, moving down into our bodies, remembering our sort of groundedness and our connection with the earth. So really coming home to ourselves in lots of ways and coming into this core inner self. So there's a kind of sense of slowing down, sort of pulling back, this kind of ebbs. So we're really drawing into that sort of still, deep knowing. And it's a practice that I've created a meditation for that you can shorten for yourself, so that whenever you're consciously connecting with nature, you can sort of have those core elements in whatever way it works for you, just to, or even just as a thing to remember, to feel a connection with the earth, to be in your body, to be really sort of embodied in what you're doing, to notice your breath and the way it connects you with the trees and the life around you. You know that you're not separate from nature, that you're, this breathing is a natural process. That nature is expressing itself through you, but also, this exchange with the nature around you. So we're nature interacting with the trees and so on, that there's this constant exchange. And then that just coming to stillness, to let the thoughts and the sounds and all the happenings, all the kind of mental busyness and things, that's just weather, and behind it all are those blue skies, that just holding space for it, just witnessing it. And so we're not so caught up in the thoughts. They're not our identity. That they're just experiences. And we're able to witness what the mind does in sort of generating all these different thoughts. And we don't have to act on them, we don't have to believe them. We have this kind of place from which we can choose conscious action. So that's EBBS, and that's really where I start in nature connection. It's just arriving in this body, in this place on the earth, remembering my true nature. And then we have flows. So this is the next part, and this is more of a sort of intentional guide. So the F of flows is for focus. So this is really maybe having some kind of intention. So it's just a reminder to maybe be a little bit intentional. It's an invitation to set an intention, and maybe not to hold that too firmly, to have it as a goal, but more as an invitation for a particular direction that you might like to take. So it's just a rough compass heading. It's not something that's kind of set in stone, but it means that if you're wanting to go and connect, you perhaps have an idea of what way you'd like to connect. So that's the first part of flows. Then the L is for letting go. So the next thing you're going to do, having set this intention, is almost to let it go, is to kind of let go of any expectations, to let go of any idea of what's going to happen. And so I think of it as kind of holding that intention very lightly, just and the next letters really kind of reinforce this. So the O is so being open-hearted, so just being open to the experience. And you know, that could include very often there'll be man-made noises. And the thing I found with that is that if I've gone into the space with this idea of you know, wanting everything to be natural and to be a certain way, and wanting to be, you know, free of stress, which nature connection can really help with relieving stress. But if I've kind of gone into the space with this kind of expectation and this idea that I'm going to be, you know, relaxed and everything's going to be beautiful and so on, then um, I can often find myself sort of fighting with my real experience, you know, what's actually there. And so, yeah, it's just being open. And the W, this is it's the next part, is whatever arises. So it's about letting whatever happens happen. You know, if there's aircraft noise, well, there's people on the aircraft. You know, this is still life happening. And what I found is, as I'm allowing those things into the experience, I start to stop noticing them. So they move more into the background, and then I'm able to notice that as well as the aircraft noise, there's bird song. I can hear the breeze in the trees, you know, and I'm allowing it all to be there. You know, this is all these different sounds are like an orchestra, you know, all playing their part, and the aircraft is a part of it. So I'm not kind of willing it away, because that really takes me out of a space where I'm making those connections. You know, now the only connection I have is with the aircraft noise. So yeah, it's just allowing those things to be there, and allowing, you know, whatever happens, to be the experience, to be really sort of accepting of it. And that's really powerful, because it means that, you know, whatever nature wants to show me, you know, whatever my lesson is, however I'm going to grow, I'm open to it. And, you know, I can receive it. And this is, yeah, just having this very, very sort of open possibility to, yeah, whatever I'm going to be offered. So even though there's this intention, and I can come back to the intention at any time to sort of say, you know, I was hoping I might go down this route today, or you know, I'm going to practice my cultivation of acceptance, or whatever it happens to be. That's still there, but I'm not holding on to it so tightly that I'm going to miss the magic that's really planned for me. And then the S in flows, I tend to think of as sacred space. So I'm not just walking through a landscape. I'm not just walking the dog. I'm creating a time for myself and for my relationship with the rest of nature, and really allowing that to have its space, you know, to be quite reverent of it, to recognize that this is an important relationship. You know, it's an important relationship with myself. It's an important gift I can give to myself, and it's also an important gift that I need to give consistently time to this relationship with wider nature. That I try to make time, sort of even 5 minutes a day, just to get outdoors, even if it's raining, which actually is a beautiful experience. And you know, wearing the right clothes, being out in the rain, and I have to say the joy it brings to plants, because they're getting the water that they need. You know, there are all sorts of things out in the rain that are completely unexpected, and it's a whole part of life that we completely miss if we're not willing to go out in the rain. And then the last part, we've got ebbs, flows, and rest. And I guess that's, you know, that's kind of the pause between the ebb and the flow. And I think in lots of ways it's kind of intentional, that it's not, although it's at the end of the acronyms, it's actually not the end of the this is a cycle, so it's going on all the time. These things, we're kind of coming back to ourselves, and coming back to the intentions, and just tweaking all of the time, that it's not linear. And so the rest part of it is reflect. So there'll be an experience, an opportunity to reflect, and that could be sharing in circle, journaling, just actually taking a moment just to absorb, savor the experience, and the rest of the rest acronym sort of really helps with those things. So express, when we're given guidance, we could receive some kind of guidance or some lesson or some experience, and sort of react, oh, that's nice, and then completely ignore it and never take the guidance, never take the lesson, never take action on it. And what I found with these experiences is that we're meant to express them. This is nature in us, flowing through us, interacting with us, changing us, pushing our buttons, and getting us to be an expression of that connection. And there are all sorts of ways that can happen. That can just be the smile on your face. That can be, the gratitude that you feel, the warmth. But it can be things like creating art, singing, dancing, writing a poem, writing in a journal, telling someone about it. So however that experience wants to find expression, acting on something that you've learnt, or you've been shown some metaphor, incorporating it into your life. So really kind of integrating what comes from this connection, living as part of the wider web of life. It's all those things, kind of growing, blossoming, however you're affected by this connection. And then the S is for service. So I always find it really enriching to find ways to give back, whether that's litter picking, or signing a petition, or working to raise awareness. But an act of service is noticing and appreciating a tree or a flower. It's creating space for it. It's sowing wildflower seeds. It's helping to propagate those seeds. There's all sorts of ways that we can give back, but that's healthy part of any relationship. And then the T is for thanks. It's for gratitude. It's thanking the nature around us. It's in whatever way it has meaning for you, expressing that gratitude, but also recognizing gratitude to self, gratitude to the other humans in that experience, recognizing that we're all nature, and being at every step including ourselves, and starting to undo this idea that humans are separate from the rest of nature. So that's it. Ebbs, flows, and rest. It doesn't have to be too onerous. It's just some gentle sort of guidelines to help. And if there's only one thing that you remember from about nature connection, is slow down. Slow down, stop, notice. That this is not a backdrop to our lives. This is part of it.